It's a big day here in the Best Football Show. I am your host here almost every single day, Brian Baldinger, at Baldy NFL on all the social media platforms. You can find this podcast on your wherever you get podcasts. You can download your Odyssey podcast for free. You can like, subscribe, tell all your friends about it. We're trying to grow this. It's a big day. It's November 5th. It's right here. We're out voting here today, but also it's the trade deadline. We're going to get to what the moves have been so far today, and maybe a couple that happened before that. But let's get to last night's game because it was a thriller. It was a great Monday night game. Tampa visiting Kansas City, and overtime. Kansas City wins the toss, goes down the field, 10 plays, 70 yards. Kareem Hunt from 2 yards out punches it in. But there's a lot that happened in between all that. Baker playing without Mike Evans, obviously Chris Godwin, but Cade Otton has stepped up. Other guys have stepped up for him right now. The offensive line played well. It was a good game. Good game. Baker takes the team down the field in the final minutes to tie it up. Big decision. I thought for Todd Bowles to go for two in that situation and go for the win, or play for overtime. So he played for overtime. I've seen it both ways. You're on the road. You're the underdog. Go shock the world. Knock the Chiefs off from the undefeated ranks. Be the first team to do that. There's a lot to be gleaned from it, but I think Todd Bowles believes in his defense. Whether he got the ball first or Kansas City got it first, I think he believes in his defense to at least hold the Chiefs to a field goal attempt. Now, Mahomes made some unbelievable plays, as he always does in overtime. They ran the ball very well. And that's really the situation right now, is that Kansas City, their ability to run the ball when they have to run the ball, like they ran twice last night on fourth downs, including a touchdown run. They can make a yard when they need a yard. Kareem Hunt had 16 yards rushing at halftime. He ended up with 106. He ran it 20 times for 90 yards against Vita Vea and Levante David and that group in Tampa. 20 times for 90 yards. And they ran the same three plays. They ran Power O with Trey Smith and Joe Tooney. They ran counter Trey with a guard and a tight end. Sometimes it was Kelsey, sometimes Noah Gray. I mean, they ran the same two or three plays right at Tampa, and they really chewed them up pretty good. They have that ability. Obviously, DeAndre Hopkins comes in. We saw the play on 3rd and 8. Mahomes willing to throw it into triple coverage and let DeAndre Hopkins go get it between Josh Hayes and Antoine Winfield, whoever else was there, and come down with it. A couple things. One, Tampa is still a good team. They're in just a tough schedule here. They got San Francisco at home on a short week this week, but Baker's highly competitive. They still have good defensive players. They still can score. They're getting beat right now, but I think that they're still going to end up being a good football team because Baker's playing really well. I like the offense a great deal. They're going to get Mike Evans back. I think they're going to be okay. Kansas City, they just keep finding a way. And Mahomes said it, we're not a championship team, but he played great last night. Played great. And his ability, his pocket awareness is for everything, whether it's to extend a play, keep a play alive, flip the ball to Samaje Perine, slipping out, find his checkdowns. He just has an amazing ability when the game is on the line to make the plays. He throws a touchdown pass at the end of the first half, and he's hobbling on one leg, and we don't know what happened. It was a non-contact injury. Something happened to his knee or ankle, and, he couldn't stand up. Comes out in the second half like nothing happened. We've seen that before. He's just a remarkable, remarkable competitor. And Kansas City is 8-0, and they march on. Tampa falls, they fall below the 500 mark now, and San Francisco comes to town. It's tough. They're on the road on a Monday night, probably get back to Tampa sometime around, 3, 4 in the morning, and they got to turn around and play San Francisco coming off of 10 days of rest. It's not exactly a favorable schedule for Tampa. It's supposed to be 88 degrees on Sunday. I'm down there doing that game, so I'll see it firsthand. But I mean, they might get a very tired football team against a rested 49er team. So Tampa is up against it. All right. We talked about the trade deadline. We saw two players last night that Kansas City has picked up. DeAndre Hopkins, a dominant game last night, 2 touchdowns, red zone touchdowns, the type of touchdowns for a lot of teams that are hard to get inside the 10-yard line, twice to DeAndre Hopkins. Big target. Mahomes knew how to find him. They already have chemistry. 2 catches in the first game after 3 days of practice, 2 touchdowns in the second game. And then they picked up Josh Uche from the New England Patriots. They were looking for another pass rusher. Karlaftis has been great. Mike Dana has been hurt. Chris Jones gets double teamed every play. They're looking for another guy. So last night, Josh Uche, wearing 55, his number that was up in New England. He played 9 plays. He had 2 solo tackles. Pretty productive. Spags will figure out a way to work him in. The other thing that Kansas City does, and it really showed up again last night, and it's remarkable. They play 3 linebackers. Nick Bolton, where's the green dot? Mike linebacker. Drew Tranquil, and Leo Chanel. They play 3 linebackers more than any other team in this league. And they figured out a way to keep Chanel on the field. He's 250 pounds. He's strong as an ox. You want to try to run the ball against those guys, good luck. I mean, they are hard to knock off the ball. They lined up against Baltimore in the AFC Championship game with those 3 guys. Baltimore just stopped trying to run the ball against it. Now, can you pick them apart in the pass game? They got a couple throws against that group last night, but not enough to chase them out of that lineup. And they found different ways to do it, where they put Chanel and Tranquil at defensive end, pack it in with their inside guys, Wharton and Jones and whoever else, and then play Nick Bolton as a single linebacker. They've got different looks, different packages. So Kansas City, in this arms race where you have to partake, I think if you want to be in the postseason, they certainly have. Now let's get to some trades that have been made today. Washington makes a trade for Marshawn Lattimore. I love it. The weakness in this whole Washington team is their secondary. Lattimore's ability to play press man coverage, like he's still on his game. The kid's out of Cleveland, Ohio. He came into New Orleans in 2017, won Rookie of the Year. He made a difference in New Orleans right away. So you look at what Marshawn can do. I mean, look, they drafted Kool-Aid McKinstry. They've got Alante Taylor. They've got Paul Sadibo. They've just changed coaches. It's a great pickup for Washington. They did their homework. He's a great all-around player. He's a great tackler. He understands the game. I've done a million breakdowns on Marshawn. He is coming to a team that's got a lot of veterans out there. Bobby Wagner, guys that have been around this league a long time. He'll fit right in. That's a great pickup. Cincinnati went out and got Khalil Herbert. I don't know if Cincinnati's ever taken, made trades at the trade deadline, but they lost Zach Moss. They've got Chase Brown. They want to keep the running game going. I mean, they're here to tell everybody that we're not out of this. We're not where we want to be. We only have 4 wins, but Cincinnati is telling the world that we're still in this thing. We've got Joe Burrow. We've got division games coming up. We've got a big one with Baltimore coming up in a few weeks. They're in it. They're in it, and they feel like they can get out of this crypt that they're in. So good pickup. Khalil Herbert has played very little in Chicago. They've gone with DeAndre Swift, Rashawn Johnson. They really haven't had to use Khalil, but the last couple of years in Chicago, he's been a very good back. Good contact back. Kid played his last year at Kansas. He's been a good player in this league. Pittsburgh, big players in the trade deadline. They pick up 2 players today. They pick up Mike Williams from the Jets. They've been looking for a receiver since they were actively trying to get Brandon Ayuk, actively trying to trade for another wide receiver. They get Mike Williams. And it's a good pick because Pittsburgh knows one of the reasons why they made the move from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson was they knew they had to improve their passing game. They just did. They want to get to the postseason and do anything in the postseason. Your quarterback he's got to make plays. He's got to make plays in the passing game. The defenses get better. It's tougher to score. The pressure's on every single possession that you get. So Russell has played very well. in the last 2 games, and now he gets Mike Williams opposite George Pickens. You've got Van Jefferson still. Calvin Austin had the big touchdown catch in the last game. I think they now have a real receiving core. And to be honest with you, I thought Mike Williams, I saw him, he didn't play in the preseason. He was still rehabbing from that torn ACL that he suffered against the Vikings in week 3 a year ago. They're getting a healthy Mike Williams, probably a motivated Mike Williams. I don't believe the Jets ever used him right. Aaron Rodgers called him out against the game in Minnesota at the end of the game. This is like new beginnings for Mike Williams. They also picked up Preston Smith. And look, in Pittsburgh, you can never have enough outside linebackers. TJ Watt can't go every play. He's not going to be as effective. You want to keep him fresh. Nick Herbig, in his second year, has been hurt. He's been out of the lineup. Alex Highsmith got hurt, was out of the lineup. And so you get Preston Smith, who's largely been healthy, has played that outside linebacker spot, can play over the tight end, can rush the passer, can set the edge. I mean, it's a great pickup for Pittsburgh. Really great. I mean, Baltimore already picked up Deontay Johnson. They're looking for more firepower for Lamar. He didn't do anything in last week's game, but I'm sure next week when Pittsburgh and Baltimore play, that he'll probably be a game captain for the Baltimore Ravens against Pittsburgh. So I think the Steelers did real well. Let's look at the Lions. The Lions today made a trade for Zadarius Smith. I mean, it's the classic case of Cleveland's got 2 wins. They lose badly to the Chargers after a little bit of a pick-me-up in Jameis Winston's first game. He was just as bad in this last game. 3 interceptions, 1 to a rookie corner. I mean, just some bad throws. They're out of it. The formula has always been this business. Rob bad teams of good players. Zadarius Smith was drafted by Baltimore. He's bounced around this league a little bit. But he is a good football player. He, first of all, he takes the game serious. He works at his craft. I just saw him when Cleveland played Philadelphia a couple weeks ago, talked to him before the game. I mean, he's out there for an hour before the game just working on hand-to-hand combat, just working on different techniques and skills to beat his offensive tackle that day. They lose Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, Zadarius Smith, nobody is Aiden Hutchinson from the standpoint of just, local kid, culture, team building, effort, skill, talent, like all that. I mean, he was top of the charts, a blue chip player. But so what do? You got to cobble something together. And Zadarius is a good player. You're not going to get Myles Garrett. You're not going to get Max Crosby. You're not going to get one of these guys. But Zadarius is on that next tier. He can go out and get your quarterback pressures. He can run and chase with the best of them. He's not a liability in the run game. He can play every down. So I thought Detroit, they helped themselves out, especially with a bunch of division games coming up. They just went to Green Bay in the Nor'easter, beat a good football team. Defensively, they did not play well the week before against Tennessee. They gave up over 400 yards of offense. I think this is a good move by Detroit to get Zadarius. Now, we still have 30 minutes to the end of the trade deadline. I'm sure there'll be other moves. I'm sure the phones are ringing in some of these other places. We've got 9 teams in this league that have 2 wins. 9 teams. Like, it's historically bad at the bottom. If those teams, like I expect, like if I was one of these teams, San Francisco, Philadelphia, if I was one of these teams and I'm looking, even Washington, if I'm looking for a playoff push and I could pick up the phone and I could call Carolina about Jadeveon Clowney, as long as it was reasonable, man, I would try to get Jadeveon Clowney. Like, that guy just plays the game the right way, plays it hard. He is a phenomenal athlete. He's not a great pass rusher. He had 9.5 sacks last year, second time in his career he's done that. But he's an effort guy. He's a run and chase guy. He's a guy that plays the run very well. He's still extremely strong at the point of attack. I think any team that was looking to bolster their group for the postseason, whether that's Atlanta, whether it's Tampa, who's having trouble right now, just rushing off the edge, I'm telling you, Jadeveon Clowney, as long as the collateral to get what you got to give up for him, as long as draft capital isn't insurmountable, man, I pick up the phone and call Carolina and see if they're looking for some draft assets to start rebuilding this team. Anyways, that's today's show, the best football show. I got a bunch of TV to do for the NFL Network and some other networks here, talking about these trades and talking about what just happened in Week 9. But I'll be back here tomorrow to discuss more about what happened today and kind of looking ahead a little bit to Week 10 as this league has really begun to separate itself top to bottom. This is Brian Baldinger for the Best Football Show. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow.